I have worked at other schools in New Jersey, such as Rowan University, and now I'm here at Seton Hall. And so I'm very excited about that. I want to share with you some of the exciting things that are going on in the College of Arts and Sciences. And I want to first start off by saying today was our opening ceremony for the 26th annual Petersheim Academic Exposition. And Petersheim goes back to Dr. Matthew Petersheim, who was a professor and chair of chemistry in the arts and sciences decades ago. And he unfortunately passed away. However, we dedicate a whole week to him every April to have students present their research and scholarly activity with their faculty members. And today I was doing double duty, not just being a dean, I also gave the keynote address on breast cancer, physical activity research, and also working with diverse communities such as African Americans, Latina, Latinx, Hispanic individuals. And so it's a really exciting time for us today. So one thing you know, if you are a current student or looking to be a student or a parent of a student or a loved one, we're very committed to service, research, and teaching at Seton Hall and the College of Arts and Sciences, and the Petersheim Academic Exposition reflects that. There are some other important things that are happening right now in the College of Arts and Sciences. We have 2 professors that just got nominated to be Fulbright scholars. One is Inez Merzuka. I think this is her 2nd or 4th time being a Fulbright scholar, and also Dr. Susan Nolan from psychology is her 2nd or 4th time. I have it either or, but they have been more times than once nominated for that area. I must apologize. I have a new family of Yorkies in my house. If you hear squeaky toys, that's not something atypical. I have 3 puppies and 3 gerontology dogs, so they're a little bit active during this time before they go to bed at 8:30. So I apologize if you hear these squeaky toys in the background. My favorite dog is a Yorkie. That was a test question. Yorkie. I have a bunch of Yorkies. That's all I have. Okay, so they're very active right now. They have no sense that I'm doing an important talk. Okay, so some other important things that are happening is that I'm going to go over my list. We have various faculty members that have external funding. Dr. Joseph Badilio has a National Science Foundation LEAP grant. I also have a grant with my colleagues at Rowan University. It's a National Institutes of Health R15 grant. Dr. Mehmet Alper Sehanir has a NASA grant, and Dr. Abe Zachem has a NEH, which is the National Endowment for Humanities grant. That's current for this year. There's other faculty such as Dr. Suli Chang in biological sciences, Dr. Jose Lopez in physics that have ongoing research and funded research as well. So we're very committed to having our faculty be in the classroom teaching your students to do well and be lifelong learners, but also, sorry, I have a call coming in. There we go. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So we are very committed to teaching in the classroom and also doing research. There's also something else that we are very committed to. In the past year, there's been these grants called Opportunity Meets Innovation Challenge Grants, OMIC grants. We have around 10 to 20 of these grants that have been funded for our faculty in the arts and sciences. So our faculty are very busy teaching your students in the classroom and also doing service and also doing research. The next thing I wanted to share with people was our ability to recruit and retain the best scholars to be professors in the College of Arts and Sciences for the academic year 22-23. That's next year coming up. We have 12 positions we are hiring for in the area of criminal justice, biology, environmental studies, and beyond, philosophy, psychology, etc. So there's a lot of great energy going on. The school is very committed to College of Arts and Sciences and the work that we do. And I can stop there, Sandra, if there's any kind of questions or comments about some of the comments or points that I've raised so far.
I see that there's 2 parents that have raised their hand if they want to just unmute themselves and ask the question that you might have. Peter and Karen?
Peter and Karen, yeah.
Maybe they made a mistake.
Well, I know there are
Yeah,
some.
that we just made a mistake. That's okay.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, that's okay. You raise your hand that you're present. That's great.
Okay, so I think there were some questions, Sandra, that were sent to me beforehand that I can walk through some answers for people. So
Sure.
as we know, there's 6 dual degree programs with the School of Health Medicine, and also the College of Arts and Sciences, or SHIMS, I'm sorry, Health Medical Sciences. My apologies. So one question was, does your department give any guidance to students who apply to medical schools? The answer is yes, at the university levels, not specifically in the College of Arts and Sciences. There's a new pre-health advisor named Chantel Varga, and she oversees helping people write their personal statements, interviewing, taking MCAT prep testing. And we have a colleague in the school, sorry, in the Department of Biological Sciences named Dr. Brian Nichols, who is a co-chair with her on that committee. They also now write a joint letter with the pre-health committee to make sure that students that are applying for medical school have a letter of support if they meet the right parameters with their GPA and things of that nature. So I wanted to add that to one of the questions that was asked to me, Sandro. Here's another question. I have a son at Seton Hall University, 3rd year, arts and science section. He would like to go to medical school after he graduates his college years. His current GPA is 3.3. I would like to know how Seton Hall can help my son apply to medical school. And that's a really excellent question. I go back to the same area again. Ms. Chantel Varga, I think it's Verga. She is the pre-health coordinator, and we have our colleague, Dr. Brian Nichols, who oversees the pre-health committee. So they really do work with students in that area. So there is a lot of great support at the university level, and then also coming in with arts and sciences with our colleague, Brian Nichols, to help out in that area. Okay, here's another question that I was asked. Has the availability of internships changed? So let me start that again. Has the availability of internships changed over the last year related to the pandemic? The answer is yes, they have, but maybe not in the way that you thought. So there's been more remote or virtual trainings with internships, and also in person. So it's not like there's been a true decrease. There's been more flexibility with the pandemic. Also, certain sites, and again, this depends if you're social work or you're for nursing, and that's out of my purview, so I can't speak about nursing, but there are parameters that the site may ask for COVID testing, things like that. But many sites have been very flexible with our students to allow remote service learning and on-site. So the positivity in this really horrific kind of situation we've been going through with COVID-19 is that there's been more flexibility with our internships during this time. Here's another question that I was asked. Is there anything in place for, and if not, will there be, and what is being implemented to ensure students get diversity, inclusion, sensitivity training, recognizing harassment, reporting options? That's a very good, important question, and a very complex question. Let me break this down into a couple of things. Our university is committed to making sure that our students are safe and healthy at Seton Hall University. We have a Title IX office that deals with gender-based discrimination and harassment, and they also deal with sexual harassment as well. So that's our Title IX office. We also have a student dean office that deals with any kind of student concerns. So there are various resources on our campus that are on the web, or you can find out in person and find the appropriate people to talk to about those areas that way. Also, to share with you too that when it comes down to diversity, there's a lot of great things that are happening. One, we have something called DEI, and that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. Dr. Monica Burnett oversees that area with Dr. Jonathan Farina in the provost office, and they're committed to making sure that at the student, faculty, and staff level, we are committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. I also add justice as well. And I will share with you too that we are looking at ways to make sure that we have addressed diversity in our syllabi across the whole campus from the university level. We are looking at ways to address diversity in our student evaluations to make sure that they are inclusive for our various faculty that teach our amazing students. And there's also trainings on campus for faculty, staff, and students that can deal with implicit biases. There's a lot of great things that are happening to make sure we're an inclusive environment for all students that come to Seton Hall. So I can stop there, Sandra, and see if there's any kind of new questions that we may have.
And again, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. This is the opportunity for you to ask any questions, any concerns, anything that maybe you've talked to your students, especially since they've been back home for Easter, that they shared with you over the dinner table. Feel free.
Georita, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Sandra. No,
I know I received, I was talking to a parent today, and she was asking about now that study abroad will be a possibility, and I think Inez Marsaku had the first faculty-led study abroad program to Rome, if I'm not mistaken, recently. Do you foresee that being something that be an increase in regards to study abroad, especially with faculty-led programs within arts and sciences?
Yes, Sandra, that's a great question. When I think of faculty abroad, I think of even intrastate. It may be outside of New Jersey, but it can still be study abroad in a way of other states that are really important to learn about the demographics of that community. And I think study abroad, meaning out of the United States, could be Canada, could it be Africa, Asia, broadly defined Europe, go on from there. So I do see more of those things coming back to be as more as we get questions that we can have safety with regards to COVID-19. I think there'll be more opportunities out there. So I know a question just came in the chat. You want me to read that?
Yeah, I can read it for you. The question is there a list of physician assistants that my daughter can shadow that SHU can provide?
And I would say, Cecilia, that's an excellent question. That's actually outside of my purview. That's Dr. Brian Schulman, who is the Dean of the School of Health and Medical Sciences. And so I think we need to refer her to him to see if we can get more specific answers. But I would probably assume there are ways we can find somebody that could probably be of assistance to her daughter, or her child. Sorry.
I'll share Dr. Schulman's contact information in the chat.
Great.
And I know go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, so my name is Cathay. My daughter is first year. We are actually in Jamaica, and we're happy to be able to be on this chat. Now, my question is that she actually is interested in taking courses for this summer. When we saw the prices, I was a bit surprised in terms of the cost of the summer program. So I wanted to find out, are there any grants available to assist with the summer program?
That's a great question, ma'am. And I'm not sure if I'm the best person to answer that. Sandra, do you have a lead that we could refer her to regarding summer classes and costs?
Yeah, I'll add that to the chat. I mean, we do have a scholarship website where there might be some opportunities to provide grants for the summer program, but I think it might be the deadline for those grants might have passed, but you could double check and see. I think the other part might be the opportunity to speak to financial aid, the Office of Financial Aid, and I'll add that information in there as well to see what are your options in regards to receiving grants or funding for the summer program.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question. Go ahead, Teresa.
No, I just want to add on to that. I know that there are opportunities with approvals through the university for classes to be taken at more local schools if a student goes home over the summer. But just make sure your student has everything approved and documented before they would enroll, because a lot of students go home for the summer, so that's that's also available to some people.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you.
Georita, I have a question for you. Since starting as the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences since August, and there's a two-part question to this. What has been maybe your greatest challenge as a dean of the largest academic unit at Seton Hall? And again, on top of that, there are always challenges, but there are also joys in the job. What would be that one joy that you have experienced during your tenure as the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences?
That's a great question. I would say, let's start with the last part first. My biggest reward being here is meeting the excellent students and their servant leadership of giving back to the local and broader communities and their commitment to their passion and their education and working with their faculty inside the classroom and outside the classroom. So students really do make me smile. Also, the faculty are a great joy to work with. They're very collegial and supportive of students inside and outside the classroom. And I would say number three would be the staff. They really are the eyes and ears. Sometimes when faculty are not accessible because it may just be somebody came into an office at 8 o'clock and the faculty member comes in at 8:15 or 8:30. So it's not like we're not accessible, it's just more so a timing alignment area. Those staff members hear and see things and can convey that back to the faculty to make sure there's always a contact with the student. There's always someone that cares about the student at Seton Hall. My biggest challenge may be something minor, but it's really important to me, is knowing all the names of my faculty and staff. I have 185 full-time faculty, and I have 185 adjunct faculty. So knowing all the names and knowing how to say the names correctly are very important to me. So that's my biggest challenge so far, is really knowing everybody's name and saying it correctly. This is really important to me. It's a great question.
Thank you. I know working with parents, I think one of the concerns that I've heard over the years, it's always been academic advising, making sure that students are receiving, the right advice in regards to staying on track to graduate, especially within their majors, especially with the dual degree programs, which you fit one part of the program. But what are your recommendations to parents in regards to providing advice in regards to academic advising and to their students?
Yes, that's a great question, Sandra. So I always say again, knowing the syllabus the student has for the class they're taking, what are the office hours and the ways to connect with the professor in the class. If there are questions that could be positive or concerns that could be problematic. Even if there's not concerns, I think students should still reach out to their professors and ask questions like, how did you get into this field? How did you pick your major? Why are you a great professor? So I think even asking professional questions like that will have a great relationship building for the student and the professor. And my other piece of advice is that many students will need recommendation letters. So the more they know their professors and work with their professors in research settings or scholarly settings or creative work settings, broadly defined, will enhance their ability to get those reference or recommendation letters as well. And then my other point would be with advising is there's no stupid question. And I just want to put that out there. Any question a student may have should be asked. Even if it's not in front of the classroom or during the classroom, ask it through email or during office hours or make an appointment. This is your education, meaning your students' education, your loved one, that you get the most out of it.
Teresa, did you raise your hand, or is that when you had your?
No, I did it again.
Okay, good. Ask away.
I just want to add on to that because my son actually just finished in December with his bachelor's. He was fortunate enough, he completed it in 3.5 years, has now entered the master's program at Seton Hall. And the other thing that he always told me was really good was for anyone in the sciences, because that's all he can really speak to, is not only your professors, but anyone who, let those professors guide you to someone who can give you an overview of what you think you want to do. And also talk to your TAs, because I know my son got a lot of information from the TAs, and it was more direct sometimes than from the professors because it's almost a more of a peer relationship with a TA than it would be with a professor. So, you know, they were able to guide him through so that he was able to, you know, complete a semester early and get accepted into the graduate program.
That's really important, Teresa, talking to TAs or graduate research assistants.
Or
That
even,
peer.
yeah, even, you know, upperclassmen. You know, you find somebody who's an upperclassman and say, how did you do it? Because sometimes talking to a peer is a lot more comfortable.
Exactly.
You're kind of speaking the same language, so to speak, versus walking into a professor that you may not know or just are intimidated by for whatever reason. You know, and that's how, you know, my son Logan found his niche within the chemistry department.
Agreed.
Thank you, Teresa. Any other questions from our parents that have joined us?
So I'll ask a question now instead of just talking.
Go right ahead.
Where do you see the biggest growth within the college in the next, you know, 3 to 5 years? What's the biggest growth that you're expecting to see?
That's a great question, Teresa. I see there's also a question in the chat as well. We'll come to that in a second. So the biggest growth to me is really addressing our faculty needs. We are in need of more tenure track faculty to give back to our students with the expertise in the various content areas. So I do see a big growth in adding more faculty. And then by adding more faculty, I see that we add more research experience and more service learning experiences so that our students can be lifelong learners and get the jobs they want to get after they're out of here. And that's just in the College of Arts and Sciences. I mean, at the overall university, President Nyers talked about increasing the endowment to have more financial support for our students that way. I also see efficiencies and synergies with certain colleges on campus, maybe merging together, such as the College of Arts, Com Arts and Education, maybe kind of making sure they're very efficient and nimble that way. So that's some of the ideas that I see from a College of Arts and Sciences, the university, and also some other colleges on campus, Teresa.
Thank you.
So there was a question in the chat, Sandra, about my son is a freshman and soon will be back home for the summer vacation. As a parent, how can we keep them engaged with the university during these 2 or 3 months? And how can we make them more productive? I would say they can always reach out to their professors for the class they're enrolled in for the fall 2022 and see can they get their syllabus early? Can they maybe purchase the book early and review the book materials that way? Also, something that Teresa said, Shahid, is that, you know, can they speak to maybe a class person that's a year ahead of them or a semester ahead of them and ask them what did they do that way? Also, checking the website for Seton Hall and seeing what things are going on with that their professors may be involved in, and they can figure out, are there virtual kind of symposia or virtual types of events your child can go to still stay involved with academics during the summertime. That's some of my personal advice. I'm not sure, Sandra, if you have other kind of tidbits to add.
No, I think those are all the advice that I usually give to parents to make sure their students are engaged with faculty and other advisors.
And there probably are student activity groups too that probably are still active during the summertime. And now with things being virtual and that's like the new norm, I probably still see there's things that are still going on as well during the summertime.
Any other questions feel free to raise your hand and we'll share it in our chat. I think, Georita, the advice that you gave in regards to students really getting to know their professors is one that's so important. Just in regards to, like you mentioned, receiving those recommendation letters. But I know one of the things that's been top of mind, especially because of the pandemic and where you talked about a lot of the internship opportunities have become virtual. What are some of the other experiential learning opportunities that you foresee, that you probably have talked to faculty, maybe, in regards to research or even going to conferences, but also those internships where a lot of these students made the decision to come to Seton Hall. Where do you see that there might be opportunities? Because I know one of the things I've been trying to do is engage parents to provide those opportunities, especially at their workplace or even talking about their careers. Because I know there's parents that are doctors that are in the field of chemistry. So what are some other ideas that you've probably talked to your dean's advisory committee in regards to providing more experiential learning opportunities that's going to provide the real world experience that these students really want, all right, as part of their experience?
Yeah, that's an excellent question and statement, Sandra. I would go back to one thing that we've learned during the pandemic, and it's again a silver lining during this really difficult time for so many of us here and beyond, is that we can bring more speakers to us via Teams or Zoom. There's not this, we have to travel to have a great speaker come to talk to our students. And those speakers will have experiences that they can talk about within their businesses or their organizations or their enterprises. So I think that's one great thing that I've seen during this really difficult time, is that we have more speakers being accessible to students, and they are experts in various fields. One thing I noticed at the College of Arts and Sciences is that we had, for example, Tony Galliotto come in and speak about the business of psychology. And he is now a business person, a businessman, but he was a psychology major at Seton Hall a couple of years ago, let's say, for all intents and purposes. And he spoke to students about his experiences. We had Dr. Talaj here a couple of days ago speaking about the impact of COVID-19 on underserved communities. So that was in person, but we also had Dr. Kelly Harris, who is a professor in African American Studies. He has a lot of guest speakers come to his classes via Zoom or Teams on a regular basis. And these professors have contacts with these experts in the field that also have experiences for existential learning and service learning as well.
And I'm aware that I know Dean Christopher Kaiser has also created a wonderful program, the boot camp program during the summer, where he's invited speakers, which I think
Tony Galliotto is part of that, and
yeah,
yes,
it's great.
Robert
Awesome.
Strapp, yes.
Yeah, and I know I've engaging parents. We started during the pandemic. We started a program called How I Got Here. So now put opportunity for our parents, even alumni, just to share their career pathways. But the idea is for parents to really kind of give an inside look when they were students at their university, at their alma mater, and saying, look, I was you at one point and trying to figure out what I wanted to be. And it was not an easy path. You take twists and turns. And so, again, any parents that are on this call, if you're interested in participating, because I can tell you right now, our students are yearning to hear, more about, whatever endeavors that you've taken to become who you are in any career. It's a great way doing it virtually, right? It's 30 minutes of your time. So if you're interested, please let me know, because I think, as you mentioned, Georita, it's a great opportunity for our students to learn more about different careers and ask questions and hopefully network. Because I think we had Alex Rodriguez here on campus for our Center for Sports Media, and he said one thing that was incredible. He said, your net worth is your net work. And I think that's one of the things our students are trying to learn, is how to build their network and those connections that are going to be vital for, opening doors. So I think parents, you could also play a major role in helping our students. So if you're interested, feel free to contact me at any point, And I know we had a family that was supposed to join us. I don't know if they're on. Judge Nora Polk and her husband, Philip Polk, who joined us maybe 2 years ago during Seton Hall weekend. And they were one of the first that participated in this How I Got Here speaker series. So I don't know if they're on, but if they are, they could share a little bit. But they just talked about their careers and how they helped each other as a married couple, you know, raising a child during their careers and the challenges that come with that. So, but if there are any other questions, I see that we have 5 minutes left in our meeting. So this is your opportunity to ask away. We have our wonderful dean here who's here to share her knowledge of what's going on at the College of Arts and Sciences. Georita, if there's any final.
Yeah, I can give a final comment, like how did I
Okay.
get into my career path? So I'm an administrator now, but I started out as a psychology major, received my master's in psychology and my PhD in psychology, and I have a minor in quantitative psychology. They're also psychologies, but some are minors versus the major area. But when I was an undergrad, I really did not know what I was going to do with my degree. But my father was diagnosed with colorectal cancer when I was 19 years old, end of my freshman year. And that made me really become interested in how does cancer impact family members. And this again is in the 90s where no one was talking about cancer or chronic illnesses as broadly as we do today. And so that became a passion for me, is how can I make something so difficult in a family situation become something illuminating to learn about and to help others. And that's how I picked health psychology. So I say that to share with people that if your daughter or son is not sure yet, there could be a passion somewhere in their life that could lead them to a path, and it's never too late. They can still find something. So I know some parents will say to me, well, what can you do with psychology? You can do a whole lot. You can be an administrator versus just a professor or a researcher. And not that being a researcher or professor is a problem. It's not that, but the psychology field is so broad. It's the why behind the hows of how we do so many things. So with arts and sciences, I do get asked questions, Sandra, sometimes like, what can my child do with this degree? There's so much. And that's why I think Tony Gagliato, who came to us a couple of weeks ago to speak about the business of psychology, without understanding the whys behind how people think, behave, engage with each other, he would not be as successful businessman as he is today. So I just want to put that out there in closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Georita. I think, Dolly, you're typing. Hopefully you have a question. If you want to unmute yourself.
Hi, Georita. I actually just had a question. You know, as we as a country, as a world, continue to focus on the environment, resources, I know SHU is known in arts and sciences for lots of great things. How do you see the College of Arts and Sciences growing more with environmental science, and how do you suggest that students that may want that path versus a health sciences path or psychology path, how would you direct them?
That's a great question, Dolly. So we do have an environmental studies program. It's interdisciplinary. So we have people from sociology, anthropology, political science that are involved with that area. That's one thing I want to share with you. Also, number two, Dolly, we're hiring a lecturer for that position in 22-23, and hopefully they say yes. And they have said yes to me. I'm just waiting for the ink to dry on the contract. So there's a lot of great movement and growth in that area on our campus. And I think what we need to do is have more symposium or more experts speaking about environmental studies. And one thing that we have, this is my third point, and I'll stop rambling. Dr. Judith Stark is one of our professors in the College of Arts and Sciences, and she is interested in an office of sustainability and how that can also let people know that environmental studies is very important as well.
Thank you, Dolly, for your question. So it seems like we have a minute left. So any last questions, comments, or concerns before we log off on our call. Well, I just want to again thank Georita for joining us and kind of kicking off our evening with our Dean series. I have to say our deans are just wonderful individuals who really devote their time and effort in providing an incredible student experience. And Georita, you've been a wonderful addition to our Seton Hall family. And I want to thank you for joining us and sharing your knowledge and all the updates that's going on within your unit. And we look forward to working with you as parents, as students. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Again, thank you for all our parents that joined us today as well for this great conversation with Georita. And go Pirates. I just have one other plug. We have Seton Hall Giving Day that starts in 2 days. It's just a great opportunity to support our students through our scholarship opportunities. You'll probably be getting some emails from everyone from Seton Hall to support Seton Hall Giving Day. Our goal is to get close to 1,856 donors, which is the year that we started Seton Hall in 1856. That's our goal. I think we surpassed our goal last year. And so if you're interested in giving, feel free to contact me, and you'll be seeing some emails in regards to how you can make a gift to any designations at the university. And one of them is the College of Arts and Sciences. If you want to support, feel free to do so. Again, thank you, Georita. Thank you, all our parents, and go Pirates. Have a great evening, everyone.
Go Pirates.
Sandra, what is
Thank
the
you.
university
Thank you.
ID?
Say that again, I'm sorry, Teresa.
What's the university ID for matching gifts? Do you know?
It would be within your company. So if you want to send me an email, I can send you that information.
Yeah, they always ask for a ID number from the
So you're
university.
talking about the federal ID number? Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can send that to you offline.
Perfect.
Okay, wonderful.
Could you
Thank
put
you,
in the
everyone.
chat? Could you put in the chat your contact info? So
Yep.
if we want to join that parents program, that, what is it called, to do?
How I got here, speaker series?
How I got here.
Yeah, I'll add the link here, and my information will be in that webpage where it shares the information about how I got here. I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
All right, you have a great evening. I'll add it right now. And you can go right into the link. It shares everything about it. I have some videos of some of the parents that participated and how I got here. It's just a great way to share, your career path with our students.
All right. Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you. Have a great night. Take care, everyone.
Bye.